Thank you, Cas. You're laying expectations high from start. My story is just about that. It's a story about agility, and agility, in my simple opinion, is based on the ability to connect, to realize that you can't do nothing by yourself, that you're always mutually dependent on others, and that value is always realized in relationships. Any objections to that? Let's see a Dutch music festival, which I happen to be the lucky guy who was there in the early days, helping, setting it up, discovering, using basically no concept at all. We're talking about 1992. I show you a short video of last year's editions, so it exists already, sustainable, reinvented 3 times or more for 27 years. Enjoy.
Come down to the west side, shimmy, shimmy, come right where you belong. Why waste any more time, silly, silly, you like what we got going on. I can't take it, you keep leading me on. You're so evasive, but you never stay gone for long. If you don't want it right, leave it right there. Why you acting like you don't care? Why you wasting my taking my time, run away then coming back around every other night? I can't take it, I guess the chase is half the fun, and I really hate it, but I can't make myself stop. If you think that I need you, I'm sorry to mislead you. I'm growing, I'm growing, I'm growing, I'm not here to feed you. Keep thinking that I'm stupid, I'm hot, you are human. Your bestie wants me naked, yeah, he thinks that I'm the cutest. I'm mad, I'm affected, howling at the moon. Mama said it's coming, yeah, this must be 22. I'm in 2 different dimensions, I'm running out of juice. He said that he could eat me up, he want a rendezvous. Oh baby, don't you worry, you know that I'll be good, and I'm not really sorry for what I'm about to do. Boy, you can break my back, working 9 to 5, I can push right back. Now boy, you can break my back, I need a distraction, so blow my back out. Boy, you can break my back, working 9 to 5, I can push right back. Now boy, you can break my back, I need a distraction, so blow my back out. Boy, is it something in the water? I'm feeling kinda sexy. Mr. Right is wrong now, I need it kinda messy. Do it to me now and you could do it to me next week. Do it to me now, it really does affect me. Oh baby, don't you worry, you know that I'll be good, and I'm not really sorry for what I'm about to do. Boy, you can break my back, working 9 to 5, I can push right back. Now boy, you can break my back, I need a distraction, so blow my back out. Boy, you can break my back,
Well, got an idea what this is about? Let's have a look backstage. It started with an ambition, like every organization you're working for started with an ambition. And we put the sky as a limit by making our ambition twofold. We were aiming at establishing a brand that sells tickets to audiences without we inform the clients, our customers, what the program will be. Which means that everything we do has to be at delighter level, otherwise next year nobody buys tickets. Satisfiers only is not enough. Dissatisfier are no option. The second, that was in the time that there was government, regulators were closing in. We decided that we want to fully cooperate with them, becoming the first festival in Western Europe completely regulatory compliant. Okay, that raised some questions. How are you going to do that with the Justice Department, with Food and Healthcare departments, with you name it? We came out on 16 governmental organizations we had to deal with. Okay, let's get in. Let's get them involved. Then we were facing some other practical difficulties. We had a site which was basically an empty field with a muddy underground. We had 2 weeks' time to build a whole city for 60,000 people where our clientele could stay 4 days. With all regulatory requirements set, done, etc. We had to do that with 330 external supplying companies. Getting the picture? And we managed to get there in just 4 years' time, building this city with a percentage of rework from 0.5%, which is, I don't know if anybody of you knows the Six Sigma scale, but that's the one highest scale possible. No other company does this. We did it with just a bunch of strange people. A couple of principles. Everything relates to everything. Poor alignment is just not an option. You can't hide yourself behind something. You can hide whatever. And circumstances are not always making it easy. There's a weather component which really can hamper. And the big question is, when are they happy? And they is not only the audiences, but also all the governments, the shareholders, the music industry, the press, etc., etc., etc. We had to deal with the whole world. The question is always, how satisfied are they? Because they value what we do for them. How satisfied are they? Major question. And can we improve? Can we make things more funny, nicer, better, enjoyable, profitable, etc., etc.? This is always a question from vision to value. The idea, and this is on a very tiny scale, but you see many examples of this in the video, where people take ownership of adding something. This is about taking ownership. Adding something, try it on a handable, doable skill. So just try, experiment, fail fast, learn fast. When it doesn't work, when it doesn't add up, get rid of it immediately. That's the way we worked. So what were we aiming at? Were we the guys that top down decided, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do it that way, and you that way, and that way. Would that work? Should that ever have made a chance? No, eh? I don't think either. So let's have a look what's really working. Of course, there's leadership, which is, I still think, the most important start of anything, leadership. The other thing is people centricity. When you really agree to the idea that value is added in relationships, you should enable people to do as much so. Goals and metrics. Did we have huge sets of KPIs and other stuff? No, we had close relationships with all those stakeholders. We had short feedback loops, so we know exactly how happy they were. And yes, the amount of money, return on investment, was one of those. It wasn't the cost principle. We were not looking at costs. As long as the value was higher enough than the cost, there's no problem with costs. We were value-driven from the bone. And of course, this is all about adaptability. And not unimportant, risks, because risks were huge. There's weather, there are diseases, there are public order and fights and stuff like that. There's drug misuse, there's the neighbors, there are, you name it. We're dealing with a crowd of 60,000 people getting in and getting out. So we couldn't control that all. They were coming from everywhere. How do you organize this? As simple as possible. May I give you a little example? Because the principle is don't look up to your manager, because he's not going to tell you anything. We didn't have managers. First thing is we skipped all management layers, because there's no value add there. Second, that means that empowerment, that leadership is about empowering people to organize the connections, and leadership is about framing the bigger whole that fits in it. May I do a little exercise with you? You have to get up anyway at the end of this day, so please do. So there's no looking up for a non-existing manager who's telling you what to do. There's no reason for looking down and stay put in your own single job, because you don't get connected with that too. So the connectivity lies in between you. I'm going to do a simple imaginary ball game. It goes like this. Make a circle around every table. Then, once close look at me, and then I'm gone. You have one of you as an imaginary ball, and throws it to one of the others at your table. But you can only do that with a handover, which means you have to have attention and a visible contact, an eye contact. So when I throw the ball at you, you can catch it. Exactly that. And then do this a couple of times, every table. Okay, let's make it a bit more complex, because the world isn't that easy. We're gonna do just this, but we're gonna add another ball to the game. And that ball goes at double the speed, which means when I'm throwing it to you, it goes like this. Yeah. So you have a small ball in your team and you have a fast ball in your team. Have fun.
Last are small.
Okay, I think that you, within 2-3 minutes, it's organized, right? It's not that difficult. Good. Now we're gonna make the world a bit more complex, because reality is a lot more complex. The outside ring of tables are the stakeholders. I see there governments, I see there justice, the police, the fire department, I see health and food control, I see the shareholders looking for return on investment. I see, what is he? Partners, sponsors, funding our adventures, but you want to have something back, right? I see the music industry in the background, I see everybody's here. So the inner part is our internal organization. And the only reason it may exist is the happiness and the satisfaction of the outside world, because we are an outside-in driven organization. So throw in all your requests, but not without making a proper handover to somebody, because without a proper handover, nothing works. So every handover, every throw has to be in agreement, or a feedback loop that works, that stays intact. When I have my hot ball here, and I need you to do something with it, I really have to connect, right? Otherwise you won't accept it. So when I throw it, I have to be 100% sure that I can trust you, you are doing the right thing with it. Okay, throw 500 balls around in 5 seconds. Then you got an idea of the scale of this festival. Getting the picture? So what can I do? Suppose let me represent leadership. We didn't call it that way. When I'm going to tell you what to do and how to do it, it becomes the fact that every one of you is coming to me in order to ask, how exactly should I do that? And my simple answer would be then, please use your own potential, your own intelligence, and organize it yourself in a way you think it will suit our bigger whole. There's nobody else who can tell you that. So the only thing I can do is fully trust you, you will do the right thing. That's the only way. So when that's really the case, you have to get rid of everything that is hampering that. So when I ask you, get yourself organized, have fun with it. And by the way, the deadline is over within 2 months. And then it needs to be fully operational, fully tested, fully backed up, and fully approved by all the governments. Otherwise, we don't open up. We have to say to our clientele, sorry, we're not ready for you yet. So that can't be the case, right? So have fun, get organized, do it yourself. Now, what I'm trying to say is we don't have to do this here, but what the mind game is really. Yeah, now you really want to do this, huh? Okay, good. Because there is a huge amount of potential here. And okay, let's start a new festival here in Vienna. Because it's not existing. So, thank you. Good luck.